Grown men preying on your children, asking for sexually charged pictures. Why, that's just the beginning of their plans.
No bond or low bond putting us all in danger.
There's going to be a reckoning.
Repeat offenders on the streets arrested again and again. The action designed to end the cycle.
And more than just a cash grab. The damage unlicensed cab drivers are doing to Nashville's reputation. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
The taxi companies are losing everything they used to have.
Continuing coverage tonight on unlicensed taxis, giving Music City a bad rap. A local company says it's also hurting their drivers.
Well, that's because they pay thousands of dollars in permit and insurance fees unlicensed drivers don't pay. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live from downtown after speaking with Nash Vegas Cab Corporation. Caitlin.
Yeah, well, the operations manager that we spoke with today say that the unlicensed drivers here downtown are charging a substantial amount of money to just go a short distance. And they say they're taking advantage of people and being really aggressive. Whereas they say that the licensed drivers are having to pay for permits and also use meters for every ride.
Nash Vegas Cab.
Shelly Williams is the operations manager at Nash Vegas Cab Corporation. She's been in the taxi industry for 9 years.
May I have your name, please, ma'am?
Williams says taxis took a hit after rideshare came into existence, and now they're taking even more of a hit with the increase in unlicensed taxis.
We pay fees, we pay insurance. There's a lot that goes on with the taxi companies.
Williams explains each taxi driver is required by law to have a minimum of $300,000 in coverage.
If something happens with that unlicensed driver, they have no insurance or little insurance.
Williams says something must be done to protect locals, tourists, and drivers trying to make a living the right way.
It's very hard on our drivers because our drivers are upstanding and they have families to support.
Fox 17 News reached out to the Transportation Licensing Commission for an interview, and they told us they are not available today. TLC says they are aware of reports of people posing as taxis, and they say they are working with enforcement staff to address this. Williams explains it's instances like this,
negotiating a price,
that she emphasizes should be regulated to keep people in these unmarked vehicles off the streets. Williams says it's the drivers in these cars that don't have background checks and possibly no insurance that you really have to look out for. The operations manager says that if a taxi driver does leave a company, they are required by law to take down any logos on the vehicle within 72 hours to make sure that they don't get mistaken for a real taxi. Reporting live from downtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, continuing coverage tonight as unlicensed taxis are not just causing trouble for cab companies. Rideshare drivers telling Fox 17 News that they are impacting them as well. They say this ultimately hurts Nashville's reputation.
I went to the Iroquois steeplechase this past weekend, and there was a couple taxis offering rides for $400 just to go right down the road. So, yeah, I just find it kind of shady, and it kind of hurts the people that are out here, trying to make a living at it.
Rideshare drivers are joining taxi companies calling for better regulation and enforcement. Fox 17 News on top of this story for over a week now. You can see all of our previous coverage, including how it impacts our musicians at fox17.com.
In Operation Crime and Justice, the TBI charges a dozen men with sexually exploiting children across our state online. It's the culmination of a 3-month investigation into 2 different types of abuse with victims as young as 6 years old.
The suspects include 3 men from McMinnville, 3 from Paris, and 1 each from Columbia and Murfreesboro. Agents say some posed as teens and convinced minors to send them inappropriate images in a scheme referred to as sexhortation.
As soon as they get that inappropriate photograph, they send the victim a photograph of them and then a list of all their friends. threatening them to request either more photographs or gift cards, usually money.
The victims are between 11 and 17. Tips came from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and social media platforms including Snapchat and Instagram. TBI Director David Rausch says there is a level of cooperation between police and the social media giants, but not as much as he'd like.
That's why there's a national movement to hold these companies accountable for the information that they have and their responsibility to properly monitor and notify policing when there are illegal activities occurring on their platforms.
The other group of suspects includes men making new child exploitation materials and posting it online. 10 homes were searched, leading to the discovery of over 250,000 illicit pictures and videos.
What we're announcing today is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this kind of crime. Sexual exploitation and sextortion of our children happen every single day in our own homes and is only getting worse.
TBI says teen boys are the most common targets for sextortion. Agents say it is one more reason to know what your children are doing online and who they are engaging with.
Continuing Operation Crime and Justice, the man accused of killing a Memphis teacher out on a jog will spend decades behind bars for another crime. A judge sentenced Cleotha Abstone to 80 years in prison for a 2021 rape. Abstone met the woman online and then attacked her at gunpoint. He was out on bond in this case when police say that he kidnapped and killed Memphis teacher Eliza Fletcher. Fletcher out for a jog early in the morning when police say Abstone plucked off of the street. In 2022, victims' advocates argue a backlog for rape kit testing kept him on the streets, leading to Fletcher's death.
Our first 90-degree day of 2024 was this afternoon. We hit 91 degrees, our average, not too far away, in fact, about a week away, the 27th. We'll have more facts about 90-degree days and interesting tidbits coming up a little later, but it's still quite warm. We hit 91 this afternoon, still in the upper 70s at this hour. 78 in Nashville with 76 in Clarksville, Murfreesboro right around 77 degrees at 9 o'clock this evening. So starting to feel it. That summertime heat is here. Fortunately, it hasn't been too humid today, just hot or warm, very warm. Radar is quiet for us. That's the way it'll stay as we go through even tomorrow as we look at another beautiful but warm day. Mainly sunny skies expected for us. Temperature around 69 for the overnight hours. We'll look at 64 in Murfreesboro, low 60s out towards the Cumberland Plateau. We'll talk more about what looks to be, unfortunately, another stormy pattern setting up for us, how it looks as we head into your weekend, the holiday weekend. That all in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Katie, thank you. Tonight, cicadas, the topic of the Fox 17 News viewer poll. The question, quite frankly, are you ready for the cicadas to be gone? 921 people weighing in, and an overwhelming majority, not surprised here, 81.2% say yes, ready to see them go. Poll's live right now. To cast your vote, scan the QR code there on the right-hand side of your screen. It will link you to our poll on our X page. Our handle is @FoxNashville.
If you are sick of criminals getting out of jail for low bond or no bond and then committing more crimes, you're going to watch the story we have next, an effort to stop the madness.
Well, accused criminals on the streets with no or low bond arrested again for more serious crimes. And it's a growing trend here in Tennessee.
That it is. Victims' rights advocates are hoping that new state laws will end this cycle. The question is, are these laws enough? Fox 17 News' Dennis Ferrier with his ongoing investigation.
Nashville continues to suffer from people who are being arrested for terrible crimes, released for low or no bond, and then getting out and doing something worse.
This is Jamian Taylor, a busy man this spring. He is charged with the following 4 crimes. He threatened to kill a worker at the Nashville Rescue Mission on March 21st. Then on April 4th, he assaulted a woman in an elevator trying to kiss her. She got away, but he was arrested for false imprisonment and assault. No big deal for night court magistrate John Manson, who set his bail at just $3,000. So he gets out for $300. Then 10 days later, he's breaking into cars at Beaman Toyota. This time, night court magistrate Jerice Clinton sets his bond at $100. So he gets out for $10. Then 2 weeks later, he follows, chases, and terrifies a 15-year-old girl walking home from the bus from MLK Magnet High School. Verna Wyatt from Tennessee Voices for Victims.
I can't even imagine the terror that that young girl still has, because she knows by the grace of God, he didn't get hold of me.
Unfortunately, Mr. Taylor isn't an exception. He's the rule. One of the endless examples of low bond leading to high terror. Lou Wilbanks, Nashville activist who runs a popular social media site.
They're turning around and getting right back out and doing the same stuff. And I mean, literally days after they were released. And that is frustrating. For one, it's concerning and scary.
And who does? Even Nashville Chief of Police John Drake says it's unacceptable. Some of his officers have arrested people on consecutive days.
And when the chief of police goes on television and says the criminal justice system is failing the people, I mean, it scared me, and just seeing his face. And that's got to be frustrating if they're doing their job and other people aren't.
Majority Leader in the State House, William Lamberth.
My constituents do not feel safe knowing that a person's going to be arrested 2, 3, 4, 5 times and not be held accountable by any court system. And so all they're asking is that for repeat violent felons, hold them accountable, keep us safe, make sure that when our children are going to school or we're headed to the grocery store or church, that we don't have to worry about some violent felon gunning one of our friends or loved ones down, that we know there's going to be held accountable.
There are 5 big changes coming July 1st. Judges are ordered by law to consider public safety as the #1 consideration for bond, and they can no longer consider poverty as a reason to lower or remove bond from someone charged with a serious crime. If a criminal commits 6 misdemeanors in a short period of time, it's a felony. So now that guy that keeps breaking into cars every night will actually face jail time. And if an officer stops someone who is in violation of their bond conditions, they can arrest them on the spot.
Can you believe they couldn't do that before? Here's the scenario. Dennis Ferrier is out on bond with the condition he can't have a firearm. Whoops, I'm caught, right? Oh no, policeman can't arrest me. He has to send a note to the DA's office, and then they request a hearing in court, maybe in a couple weeks, to discuss whether or not to revoke my bond.
That changes July 1st, along with a new law where you don't get released because you are mentally incompetent. This after the tragic shooting of Jillian Ludwig. Some believe this all began because of the backlog of criminal cases that happened during COVID.
And so what the word out there on the street is on many criminals is that they're not going to be held accountable, that they're going to be continue to get low bonds, continue to let out, continue to commit crime after crime, and there's no accountability. Well, I have some bad news for them, because come July 1, when all these bills go into effect, there's going to be a reckoning. And many of those folks that are committing crimes over and over and over again, they're going to go to jail and they're going to stay there, and they're not going to come out for a long time.
These are huge changes. We will see if they are big enough to actually change the tragic consequences that are changing lives in our community forever. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Tonight, a mild one with temperatures still in the upper 70s at 9 o'clock. We will drop back into the upper 60s for the overnight. And we're on our way to another warm day for tomorrow, reaching for 90 again on Tuesday. Also looking at a dry start to the week for both today and tomorrow. Storm chances, though, do ramp up as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and right into the holiday weekend, I'm afraid. Tomorrow looking great. Lots of sunshine around, temperature around 80 at 10 a.m. up to about 88 as we head towards 2, and by 5 we're in those upper 80s close to 90. I do think we'll reach the low 90s for tomorrow, especially since we hit 91 today. Rain chances, though, going up for Wednesday night into early Thursday. Right now, it's looking like the first batch of showers that we're going to find will come in Thursday early morning. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all looking at some shower chances as well. So stormy pattern ahead beginning Wednesday. There will be a chance for a few thunderstorms early on for Wednesday, mainly west towards the Tennessee River. I would say that right now our severe chances are looking pretty low. There is a threat for some strong thunderstorms to our west as we head into early Thursday morning, but I expect the line as of right now to weaken as it moves into Middle Tennessee. It's still something close enough that we'll definitely want to keep an eye on for early Thursday morning. But for now, the overall severe weather threat remains pretty low. As we take a look through Tuesday, we will find mainly dry conditions through the afternoon and into the evening. Here's that small rain chance I was talking about for Wednesday morning. And then we get into the afternoon, we dry out. The main line not expected to arrive until late Wednesday night, early Thursday, and that's going to be where we have a decaying line of thunderstorms moving in. A little closer to home here, you can see showers mainly in East Tennessee for tomorrow. We look at mainly sunny skies through Wednesday morning. Here, those showers possible for folks in Clarksville, Hopkinsville, over to Paris. We do dry out for the afternoon, and then late Wednesday night into early Thursday, this would be the time frame that we're looking at some showers and thunderstorms to roll through very early Thursday morning and into the middle of the morning hours as well. We've got more coming up. We'll talk about more so our holiday weekend, what you can expect for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday next week.
The American dream, is it out of reach? The factors pricing some people who would love to live in Nashville out of the market.
I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington with a look at the death of a top adversary's president and what it means for the road ahead.
Hey there, I'm Fox 17 News This Morning anchor Erica Glover. Recent solar storms, they produce some beautiful visuals, but they're also causing some major problems for farmers. How these solar flares are making it harder to plant crops. That story Tuesday on Fox 17 News This Morning. I'll see you then.
Make this.
Continuing coverage now, he is known for running what the Western world refers to as one of the most repressive regimes in modern history. Well, now Iran's future is in question after the death of their president, Ibrahim Raisi.
Well, Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzau with what this could mean for the relationship between Iran and the U.S.
It's a region already marked by instability and war between Israel and Hamas, a group backed in large part by Iran. The death of Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, seen here inside his helicopter just before it crashed Sunday, now creating more questions about what lies ahead. For a country with years of constant protest and a widening gap between the state and society.
The short list to become Iran's most powerful person, the supreme leader of Iran, just got much shorter. Raisi was long rumored to be on the short list to replace or ultimately serve as the next supreme leader.
Current supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei's son thought to be a top contender. For now, Iran's first vice president, Mohammad Mokhtar, was appointed acting president. The country's constitution mandates an election within 50 days, though experts say a new leader will not change Iran's relationship with the West. That relationship of late marked by a far more emboldened Iran, which launched more than 100 ballistic missiles directly at Israel just last month. The Islamic Republic previously used its resources on proxies designed to mask its hand.
The Iranian kind of military global footprint is changing, and the change in capability, plus the impression that America is on the way out, is leading to more emboldenment and more direct kind of attack.
Despite rumors of retaliation for those attacks, the Jerusalem Post reporting Israel was not involved in Raisi's death. One former top Iranian official blamed the U.S. for sanctions on aviation parts he said Iran has not been able to get. One other factor we'll keep our eyes on, Axios just reported that top officials from the U.S. and Iran just held indirect talks in Oman. The focus, how to avoid escalating regional attacks and to prevent a wider war in the Middle East. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Just ahead, priced out of Nashville, the housing issues driving some would-be residents out of town or in some cases out of state.
And fanning the fire, the growing accusations against Israel in its war with Hamas.
The latest
Not being able to live in the place that I'd set my heart on for so long is just devastating.
Tonight in the economy, high home prices are pushing some Nashville residents out of the state, and new numbers show a housing shortage is to blame.
As Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker shows us, Nashville needs roughly 5,000 new housing units every year just to keep up with demand.
Today I spoke with an aspiring home buyer who had to move completely out of state in order to make those dreams ever become a reality. Now I also spoke with a local realtor who tells me he has similar concerns, worrying if his daughter will ever be able to live by him.
Living in Music City is a dream for so many Americans, but for some, this dream is now out of reach.
I literally moved with what only fit in my Jeep because I was determined to make a living in Nashville.
Around this time last year, Jordan Labarski told Fox 17 News she was eyeing Knoxville due to high rent in Nashville. But when we caught up with her today, we learned she ended up planting roots in Montana.
Having to leave was one of the most difficult things that I've done.
Labarski says living paycheck to paycheck in the city made it too difficult to save for a house in this market.
I just don't think that it's really attainable for most people in their 20s anymore, especially if they're on a single income.
According to the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce, 70% of workers make on average $60,000 or less a year. But numbers show you need to make $70,000 a year to live in the city comfortably, especially around downtown.
I found 552 square feet, one bed, one bath, for $489.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's a really small place for that kind of money.
For home buyers that are struggling with those prices, local realtor Craig Edwards suggests looking further out.
You can get a 3 to 4 bedroom house in White House for about $358,000. That's 2,000 square feet or so, and this is brand new construction.
Edwards says the construction rate is down about 34%, creating a tremendous demand on the homes that we do have, in turn raising prices.
We always talk about all the cranes that you see around downtown and all the building that's going on. We still need more.
The mayor's office says during his term thus far, the mayor has put a strong emphasis on affordable housing, and the city will soon open its first public permanent supportive housing facility.
And coming up on Fox 17 News at 10, we're going to have more of those tips from Edwards, that local realtor you just heard from, for those aspiring home buyers. For now, reporting in North Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red Station.
Well, tonight, faculty and students at Columbia State mourning the loss of a longtime professor of art. A freak accident in Brazil took the life of Clifford Gordon. Gordon walking alongside an oceanside road when a wave swept him away.
Tonight, Fox 17 News investigates a lawsuit against a one-of-a-kind cattle operation located near the Tennessee-Kentucky border. Tennessee's Attorney General's office sued the Browning Cattle Company in Clay County, around Salina. The suit claims that manure from the operation is causing high levels of E. coli in nearby creeks.
Our farm lifestyle and our way of life is under siege here with this cattle operation, and has been for 2 years.
Browning has done everything that any government entity has asked for.
Now, the company has hit the pause button on all of its operations, but ultimately wants to bring in 9,000 head of cattle. Fox 17 News' Kelly Avellino has more on this cattle battle tomorrow on Fox 17 News at 9.
Now to Operation Crime and Justice, a woman is accused of attempted murder after witnesses say that she attacked a WeGo bus driver with a knife. Metro Police say it all started when the driver told Tarika Scavalli to sit down and be quiet.
Nice and mild tonight. I was going to say mild and then I was going to say warm. Wild, we could call it. It's wild tonight. Temperature is still sitting in the mid-70s this evening, and we're not going to drop too much more. We'll be in the upper 60s for the overnight. Some folks downtown on Broadway enjoying the warm weather. This evening, we'll have another warm day for tomorrow. Again, out the door here at 7 a.m. We're in the upper 60s for Nashville and Clarksville. Crossville sitting at about 63, 64 degrees. Again, mainly sunny skies will be the story all day long. And we are looking at some warm weather here for the next couple of afternoons. Just for perspective, I added the average line for this time of year, which is in the low 80s. So 92 the temperature for tomorrow, 88 on Wednesday, and 86 as we head into Thursday. We will see that number drop a little bit as we head towards the weekend, and that'll be just because of the fact that we have a little more cloud cover around, and we've got some scattered showers that'll be around as well. But generally looking at a pretty warm week here as we round out the end of May here coming up, one of the last full weeks at least. So we'll be looking at, again, the warm weather to continue for us here. We've reached 90 degrees already once today, the first day for 2024. To talk more about the 90s, if this is average, is it before or after what we typically see? Here's meteorologist Brett Luna.
Well, it sure was a hot one today here in Nashville. We had our first 90-degree day of the year. We hit 91 degrees earlier this afternoon, and that's just 1 degree shy of the record of 92. On this day in 1944, 1962, and 2018, we hit 92 degrees. So for today, I just wanted to talk about all things 90s for Nashville, Clarksville, and Crossville. Our average first 90-degree day here in Nashville, that is May 27th, so we're about a week ahead of schedule this year for that. The earliest we've ever hit 90 was April 9th back in 2011, and then the longest stretch of 90-degree or warmer days in Nashville, the record is 99 days straight, set back in 2019. For Clarksville, the average first 90-degree day is May 17th, but the earliest 90-degree day that there's ever been in Clarksville, that was on March 24th, 1929. Clarksville has had a stretch of more than 100 days in a row of 90-plus degree weather. Back in 1925, there were 104 days where Clarksville was at 90 or warmer in a row. Now moving on over into Crossville, the numbers obviously aren't quite as high. The average first 90-degree day in Crossville, that's July 8th. The earliest day that Crossville has hit 90 or higher was on May 13th, 1962, and there's also been many years where Crossville has never even hit 90 degrees that year. The most 90-plus degree days in a row for Crossville, that was 45 days in 1954.
Just ahead, another issue with the border crisis, how the chaos there is helping the drug cartels.
Arrest warrants issued for the leaders of Israel and Hamas. Reaction straight ahead.
Leaders of Israel and Hamas now both face arrest warrants from the International Criminal Court.
Well, Fox 17 News' Kayla Gaskin shows us what this means moving forward.
As the fighting continues to rage in Gaza, arrest warrants now issued by the International Criminal Court for the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, for the initial October 7th attack, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the response.
The crimes include starvation of civilians as a method of warfare.
Neither Israel nor the United States are members of the ICC, so the warrants likely won't have an impact, but more than 120 other countries are, making international travel for Netanyahu tricky. President Biden issuing a statement calling the arrest warrants against the Israeli leaders outrageous, adding, whatever this prosecutor might imply, there is no equivalence, none, between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu calling the warrants absurd. Hamas strongly denouncing this move by the ICC. Meanwhile, anti-Israel protests show no signs of slowing in the United States. Over the weekend, the Hamas flag was waved at a demonstration in Brooklyn. At Harvard, demonstrators chanting to bring the Intifada to the U.S. Intifada, Intifada, coming to America. Historically, Intifada refers to violent attacks against Israeli security forces and civilians. President Biden was met with more calls for Intifada when he arrived to give a commencement speech at Morehouse College in Atlanta. The crowd also carrying signs saying "From the river to the sea," a slogan many interpret as a call to wipe the state of Israel off the map.
A recent poll by the Jewish campus organization Hillel International found Jewish students feel less safe. 40% admitted to hiding their religious identity on campus. I'm Kayla Gaskins reporting.
Coming up, we'll talk more about the holiday weekend that is upon us. We'll have the latest on rain chances. We'll walk you through one of our long-range future track models.
Plus, drug cartels cashing in, how they benefit from the chaos at our southern border.
Well, it's an issue front and center of the 2024 election. Spotlight on America's Christine Frizzau with the challenges along the southern border.
There's been a lot of talk about the push and pull factors of global mass migration, especially in the region that has now become the busiest in the country. Tucson, Arizona, with a 134% increase year over year in undocumented migrants encountered, most looking to claim asylum. We met 19-year-old Lydia from Chiapas, Mexico, who had just arrived.
Mi país, las personas.
She told us in her country, people are killing people without consequences. For many of the millions of migrants who have arrived in the last few years, it often means fleeing one dangerous place for another. CBP's Air and Marine Operations took us up in their chopper to show us what they see. Hundreds of miles of desert with treacherous terrain and a border wall that more and more is breached, thanks to the immense success of human smuggling organizations or cartels. Using videos like this, showing so-called successful journeys to advertise with, quote, guarantees of safe passage. The cost? For those coming from Latin American countries, it could be around $4,000 per person. The number goes up to $20,000 for those coming from Europe or Africa. And for those coming from China, sources told me many spend between $40,000 and $60,000 each, nearly all of that going to those human smuggling organizations.
It seems like they're really savvy at using social media, at, convincing people to give everything they have and more.
They're savvy on reaching out to people and convincing them that, hey, the American dream is there for you, it's easy, it's safe, which is absolutely not true. There's no place on the southwest border more dangerous to cross the border than here in Arizona.
These dangers captured in photos taken by the Border Patrol. A woman suffering from severe dehydration, another barely able to move after falling from the wall. Those working at the Arizona Air Coordination Center are often the ones who receive the calls.
Some of these folks will get into these areas that it's going to take hours for agents to get to them.
CBP says those not left behind by smugglers are often taken to so-called stash houses where they're forced to remain until they can pay up. Agents told us the more coordinated these groups have gotten, the harder it's been for them to do their main job, to patrol the border, giving smugglers space and leeway to utilize some surprising methods of getting people or drugs into the country.
Now, as sturdy as the border wall is, those who are determined have figured out a way to penetrate it, using a blowtorch to melt the metal here, and then a sledgehammer to dig out the concrete below. It creates a gap wide enough for anyone to get through. These dates right here are when someone has come out to repair it 6 times in just 2 months.
A harsh reality those on the front line say they can no longer deny. As they struggle to keep up with processing millions of migrants, billions of dollars have flowed into the pockets of those behind bringing them here in the first place. For Spotlight on America, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Continuing coverage now on the effects of a recent ransomware attack that is still being felt by some at Ascension hospitals. As Fox 17 News' Peyton Muse reports, nurses are bearing the brunt of it.
Doctors, nurses, medical professionals are resorting to what advocates call the Stone Age of hospitals. Ascension says that it's having to use paper charts and manual systems right now. Cybersecurity experts say crooks working behind computer screens find weak spots on a network, encrypt it, and block access until someone pays the ransom, usually in Bitcoin. Erica is a registered nurse and an advocate for medical workers. She's hearing horror stories from nurses all over the country.
Your heart rate, your vital signs are constantly being monitored. What I'm being told is that in some locations, those alarms are not working. The medications, I'm being told, are being double administered because nurses cannot easily look up to see if the first dose has already been administered.
Erica says some hospitals are coming up with their own systems on the fly, making Google spreadsheets just to keep track. She says something as routine as discharging a patient could take hours.
Because the providers are just kind of nervous that they may have missed something. So they are waiting and being extra careful to double check things.
Ascension says each hospital is facing different challenges, and the company brought in forensic experts, cybersecurity experts, and the FBI.
Why are they doing this? Because they realize that healthcare organizations need access to patient data and critical operations, and unfortunately, they will pay the ransom.
Ascension says patient safety is a top priority, and healthcare workers are showing resilience while having to move to manual and paper systems. And the healthcare system thanks everyone for their patience. We will continue to follow the story as Ascension says it's working around the clock to get the systems back up and running again. Reporting in Midtown, Peyton Muse, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Hard to believe that we're already looking ahead to Memorial Weekend, but we are getting there, and this weekend it unfortunately looks to be stormy off and on. Now, I don't think it's going to be a washout any day, but we are looking at several days of rain chances beginning Wednesday here, and that may actually begin to play a role in our forecasting as we head later into the weekend and into early next week. So for May, we've seen almost 5 inches of rain. That's a little over what is average for this time of year, and for the year, we're a little over what is average for the year as well. We're just at about 22.5 inches of rain so far. Now, we're going to add to that over the next several days here, the exception being tomorrow. We're nice and dry, and even most of Wednesday should be dry. It'll be after Wednesday evening that we're looking at multiple rounds of storms that move through. Now, the good news is that I can tell you is that the fact is that the severe weather threat remains relatively low. It's not zero. I don't see any day between Wednesday and Monday of next week where we have a really good chance for severe weather. There will be a chance here and there for a stray strong thunderstorm or two. Most of these would likely be damaging wind and hail threats. But the fact that we could see decent amounts of rainfall within these storms, that may become a problem for us down the road, talking more into early next week, depending on where these heavy pockets decide to set up. So case in point, we're looking at a scattered chance for showers each and every day this weekend here. Saturday will be around 86 degrees. Sunday, a slightly better chance of showers and thunderstorms. And then actually Memorial Day Monday is looking to be the best as it stands right now. So this is a look at future tracks starting Friday morning around 7 a.m. Notice as we head through the afternoon, things remain pretty scattered off and on throughout the day. There really isn't a specific timing that we can expect these storms. A lot of these should be generated by the afternoon heat. This is 6 a.m. May see some showers for the morning hours on Saturday and then again in the afternoon. Starting off Saturday evening into Sunday, mainly quiet. Then we get into Sunday, late morning, early afternoon, more showers and storms possible here. And keep in mind, this is Monday. We're looking ahead about a week, so this will change as far as timing goes. But what I wanted to show you is just how we continue to see these rounds of showers and storms that'll be around. So that looks to be the case as we head through the weekend and into early next week here. Temperatures will be a little cooler as well due to the extra cloud cover and the rain that we should have around.
Katie, thank you. Well, tonight, cicadas are the topic of our Fox 17 News viewer poll. And the question here, are you ready for those suckers to be gone? We've had a lot of people have thoughts on this. 935 votes have come in. 81.1% say yes, they're ready for them to be gone, compared to 18.9% said no. Let's have them stick around. We'll have another update on these numbers for you tonight on Fox 17 News at 10.
Just ahead, bouncing back, what Target is doing to get more people shopping.
And shaping the future of music, the impact TSU is making.
Your total access Hollywood.
Weeknights at 10:35 on Fox 17.
Make dinner good tonight with Hardee's new tender platters. Crunchy, juicy chicken dipped in buttermilk and hand-breaded, served with garlic.
On household items and food as well. Those price drops started today. Retailers like Aldi and IKEA are doing the same.
Well, get this, ChatGPT is silencing an artificial intelligence voice just released. The voice is known as Sky, and critics say it's just too flirtatious and even a bit sexist. Users compared it to Scarlett Johansson's voice from the movie Her, about a man who falls for his virtual assistant. The company is pressing pause on Sky until it can work out those concerns.
Just ahead, making a lasting impact on the future of music in Music City, the role TSU is playing.